Greetings, my name is Adriel William, and today I'm going to be talking about the financial aspects of pursuing DDS in US. One of the most important things that I'm going to tell you today is that you need to understand that overall dentistry in US is expensive. It's not something inexpensive, cheap, or something that you could easily get. And I think it's the same for Australia, Canada, that overall dentistry is expensive. And let me tell you why it's expensive. The reason is that dentistry and the number of dentists is a government-controlled fraternity, or if you want to call it a monopoly. So the government controls the number of people who become dentists in the market, and then they control the number by the demand side. So if there's a larger number of demand in the society for the dentist, then they increase the number of dentists. If they don't need it, they decrease it. And that's how they keep the whole sector of dentistry expensive. So it's like demand and supply. And once you understand this, so you would understand in order to get into this fraternity, it will take a lot of effort in terms of your education, in terms of your personality, and even in terms of your money. But let me tell you one thing, and I'm not just saying because I just got admission. I'm telling you that by the end of the day, it's worth it. There is a reason the fraternity is made in a way, and it is highly rewarding. So starting up with this, if you're a student or currently working somewhere in US or outside and thinking about pursuing dentistry, I would highly recommend that you start saving money for yourself. Be very wise. Save money, because you need to understand you need to get your evaluation done through WES or EC. You gotta get your board's exam, for which you have to fly to US, stay here, give your exam, which is not cheap or inexpensive. Then you gotta give TOEFL, you can give it back home or in US, and then applying to schools through Caapid. Every and each step requires money, trust me, in dollars, and dollar rate keeps on changing. It depends on what your earning is in. So that being said, you have to save money, be very wise. Even if you have a lot of money, just be responsible and be very wise with your decisions. Once you've done all the board exams, written your personal statement, and you're applying to Caapid. So what Caapid is, a Caapid is a portal, like it's a mediator, it's a third party which collects all the exam papers, all your credentials, all your letter of recommendation, your personal statement, and compile it in one place. So you send your board's exam results, reports to them, your TOEFL report to them, you send your LORs, your letter of recommendation, your personal statement, and everything. So they are compiled up there, and from there you select which schools you want to apply to. For example, you want to apply to 5 schools or 3 schools or 6 schools. From there you apply to them. And trust me, in 2020, the price of applying for one school is approximately $300 plus minus. It can go up higher. And the point I'm saying, trust me, is that in the coming time is the price is going to go up. I don't think so it's going to come down. So you have to be very wise. And the reason I'm telling you that you shouldn't be surprised. You shouldn't be surprised. You should know that this is an expensive field and I need to save money in order to get admission, even to the point where you get admission. So if they call you for an interview, you have to fly into that place, wherever, for example, California, Colorado, Boston, New York. So you fly up there, you go for an interview, you have to stay in a hotel, or even prior to that, if you're going to an open house or if you're going to a visit day, you have to take flight and go. Depending on the COVID situation in 2020, things are different, but in future, things will be, I think, back to normal, hopefully. So once you get that done, you got admission, for example. Now they're going to ask you for a deposit fee within a month or two. That is that if, for example, I got admission into Colorado, they asked me to pay during this time, like pay amount of approximately $4,000 right away as a deposit seat, which means I'm actually confirming that I'm coming up there. If I don't pay that fee, they would actually give my seat to somebody else. So in the same manner, as soon as you get admission in some place, they will ask you for a deposit fee. And in 2020, it's approximately 4,000 for most of the school, but in future it can go higher. So once that is done, you have to realize if you're sitting somewhere out of country, you have to get your I-20 and you have to apply for visa, and then you have to get visa and fly into US and start attending classes. But talking about the fee structure now. So for countries, I know for India, like if they get an Indian student get admission into a university in US, he can apply for a student loan through Indian government. I know it's not very easy, but they have the option to do this. So a lot of Indian dentists that I know get admission into a school, the advanced standing program, DDS, and then they apply for loan back home. They get that loan and then they fly into US to get admitted to their classes. Now, on the other hand, for countries like Pakistan, where the government is not offering you student loans, what you could do. So the first thing is either your parents or whatever your contacts are, if they have money to pay out of pocket, that's a really good way. If you have it, because approximately during this time, most of the school, like on a mediocre rate, the student fee for 2 years would be approximately $300,000 for those 24 to 28 months. It can go even up higher. For example, University of Columbia, that's really expensive. It goes up to like $4.5 or $500,000. So that could even vary. So you have to realize, if you could pay out of pocket, very good. If you can't do it, then what's the other option? So depending on your visa, I'm giving example if that you don't have any eligible permanent residence or citizenship in US. So what you would have to do is look for an individual or a contact in US who is willing to vouch on you by signing for a co-signer. Now, what's a co-signer? Co-signer. Somebody who's signing for you as a guarantee, he's vouching for you that this guy, after his education, is gonna would be paying back the loan. And in order for anybody to become a co-signer, he needs to be a permanent resident or a citizen and should have a good credit history. If you don't know what credit history is in US, you could Google it. Credit history is kind of like your record that you've been getting loan and paying them back, and you're a financially responsible person. So if you can get a co-signer, that's really good. I think that's the second best way. If you don't have either of them and you're thinking about applying for DDS, don't be discouraged. Start making contacts and talking to people if you could find somebody who could co-sign for you. Because realize, the world likes to bet on horses who run. So if you're willing to run, if you're willing to make the proper sacrifices and show yourself that you're a competent professional who's giving his best and in future will be making the most out of the opportunity he gets in US, there will be people who will co-sign for you. I've known from personal examples, some Indian dentists were able to meet people and talk to them and engage them that if they will be co-signing for them, they can make a difference and how they will be able to pay back. And people do tend to help them out. So I would say don't be discouraged. If you have plans, start analyzing your situation and grow yourself. Grow out of your problems. Everybody has problems. Learn to grow out of them. So after being said that, I'm going to talk about other routes or other ways you can maximize or dodge this financial situation, or not dodge, but how you could manage it. For example, in my case, I only had enough money to pay for my master's program, and just enough that I had to pay a non-clinical master's tuition fee. So what I did, I got into a master's program, came on student visa, and then you have to look for a master's that's in high demand in the society that you would be able to get a job and get a green card. That's very important, because if you're not able to get a green card, then it's really difficult. The other option is if you get to find a right match, somebody to marry in US, you can get here on a spouse visa, which means within 6 months you can get a green card. Once you get a green card, you can get loans, student loans through the federal system. Like, most of your things will be easily managed from the loan. Even if you have a green card or permanent residency, that's almost equivalent to citizenship. There's a high probability of you getting admission into the school. So if you can find that route, or if there's a suitable, I'm not pushing you to do it. It's not a very wise situation. You have to be very calculative and see if you find the perfect match who's able to understand your life goals and you can assimilate with this. Go ahead and do that. The one other route is that you can try for clinical masters. For example, University of Rutgers, UCLA offers clinical degrees, which are about approximately of a year, and they even, like, obviously clinical degrees count much more in value, and there is chance that in some states you could get a dental license. For example, the UCLA ACT program, go Google it up. It's about aesthetic dentistry. If you do that, you could apply for a dentistry license in some states. So that's also one of the routes that you could look into. Now, the other thing is, and in my scenario, I'm gonna be talking about my personal example. I didn't had enough money that I could pursue dentistry on my own. So I back in 2015, I started looking for universities in US where I could apply for a master's, get into US, secure my master's. That was my fallback plan, and then strive to get a job through it, after which I could get a permanent residency. And once I do that, then I could apply for schools. Now, this is not the only way. I know people who have made a lot of different routes, and sharing one of them is, I haven't seen many people do this, but if for example, these days, Canadian immigration is quite lenient and open for dentists internationally. So if you're able to apply for Canadian citizenship, and I do tell everybody as a plan B, if you're pursuing for DDS in US, apply for Canadian immigration as well. You should do it. It's a very good route. Like, at least if you fall down, you fall to Canada. So see, you have a cushion, you have a plan B. I'm saying this again, if you're watching my video, look into applying for immigration to Canada, because in 2020, before COVID, it was quite lenient and things were quite better. So for example, you get immigration to Canada and you migrate up there, and after a while you get your visa for US, visit visa, come here, give your boards exam, and then go back. And after a couple of years, like on citizenship, on PR, you could apply for student loan. You get into US, into a school, get loan from the Canadian government. It might take a couple of years. It's a lengthy process, but you need to understand it will save you. Like, if you don't have money, what other options do you have? So I would suggest, if you don't have money, then have some brains and grow out of your problems, make sacrifices, be smart, analyze, adapt. I said this earlier, that according to Darwin, neither the strongest, neither the fastest, but only those survive who have the ability to adapt. So find new routes, and my knowledge might be limited. You could look for more route, and I would encourage, if you have a full heart to pursue this, you will find ways. It will break you. It might put you on your knees. It might become difficult, but trust me, if you're willing to take up your cross and make sacrifices and pursue this process and improve your personal life and yourself along with your professional life, there is a high chance that you will end up in DDS program or dentistry in US. So I'm going to be ending this video. If you have any more questions, do write it in the comment. Do like my video, share and comment on this video. Thank you very much. See you soon.